Welcome to How You Livin', a transformative podcast featuring best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and minister, Dr. Rick Rigsby. And now, Dr. Rick.
Hello, friends. Thanks so much for listening. This episode is the final installment of our conversation entitled The Essence of Greatness. This segment is subtitled The Basics. First, let's review previous episodes in this series. This is a series based on the notion that not everyone will be successful. Everyone can be successful. We all have the capacity, but not everyone is willing to pay the price for success. Motivating this series is a personal health journey that I've been on the past few years. I've lost over 100 pounds. Despite decades of being classified as morbidly obese, I wasn't willing to pay the price for better health. Thoughts, that's right, thoughts in my mind convinced me that losing weight wasn't in the cards for me. Thoughts produced words like, I'll never achieve this, I can't do this, and this is too hard to accomplish. A good reminder here. Thoughts determine words. Words determine actions. Actions influence habits, character, and eventually our destiny. Without intervention, my destiny looked rather bleak. It all begins with how we think. As a matter of fact, think about the words my negative thinking generated. Never, can't, hard. Over the last 2 years, I've had plenty of time to think about how negative thinking can compromise our best intentions, even rob us of achieving and reaching our destiny. Once I disrupted my thinking, though, I began to see differently. Francis Bacon, that great statesman from the UK, once stated that the duty and office of rhetoric is to apply reason to imagination for the better moving of the will. The translation is this: our reasoning moves our will. My reasoning that I came up with a few years ago, quite simple. Very few people are in their 60s and weigh over 300 pounds, yet that was my case. My reasoning, well, I've been a widower, and continuing my path would result in leaving a wife a young widow. My reasoning, I really didn't want to leave my children and grandchildren prematurely. I strongly desired to not just live, but to live healthy. I still have work to do, a calling to encourage people, a burning desire to offer hope in a hopeless world. All these reasons convinced my imagination to act, convinced my will to move. Change began, rather slowly, but it did begin. But it didn't occur until I disrupted my thinking by thinking about multiple variables that became more important than even my selfish impulses. That's right, friends. Don't expect any forward progress unless you first disrupt your thinking. The lessons that I've learned, the motivation behind this series, have been radically life-changing, to say the least. Like this one lesson, answering the why question. Why should I lose weight? Well, the whys became obvious. But hear this, if we can't answer the why question, we won't change. If we can't list for ourselves, why should I go through the pain? Why should I go through the discomfort? Is this worth it? If we can't convince ourselves with answering the why question, the reasons that will actually move the will likely not change. Part 1 of this series is subtitled The Pain of Success. The argument, pain is critical to any type of growth. In Samuel Chan's excellent book, Leadership Pain, The Classroom for Growth, Chan stated, quote, when you interpret your pain as bigger, more important, more threatening, more comprehensive than your vision, you'll redefine your vision down to the threshold of your pain, end quote. Without pain, there is no growth. And if we cannot answer the why question, we're reluctant to endure the pain. It's far easier to exist in the land of comfort and convenience. Part 2 is subtitled The Blueprint for Success. Learning to do hard things is critical to any kind of success. You see, success has a price tag. It's called hard. Uncommitted people walk away from hard stuff, but the committed run toward hard. They embrace hard. This is an important lesson that underscores the principle that great people do things that other people don't. You know, right now, friends, I'm thinking about an interview I watched with Hall of Fame quarterback and San Francisco 49er legend Steve Young. In the days following the 49ers' 1995 Super Bowl win, Young said he observed something that gave him goosebumps. Keep in mind, just a few days earlier, the 49ers had won a world championship. They're likely still celebrating at this time. But listen to what Young observed. Quote, 3 days after the Super Bowl, I went down to the facility, the training facility in Redwood City, California. No one was there. It was empty. I peeked out the back window, and I saw Jerry Rice running routes. Young continued, there's only one guy that does that. He was the greatest player who ever played the game. I would say this little story maybe tells you more than anything else about maybe why, end quote. Great people do things that other people don't. Great people do hard better. Great people never rest on the mountaintop. As a matter of fact, 3 days after being on the mountaintop, they're out behind the training facility building, running routes, getting ready for the next season. Part 3 is subtitled, Becoming Comfortable, Being Uncomfortable. The pursuit of greatness forces you out of your comfort zone. My health journey taught me this. It's a journey that forced me to hold up a mirror, to make hard decisions. Each decision uncomfortable, but I would later learn critical to any kind of sustained success. For example, for 60 years, I've chosen comfort over challenge. I've chosen convenience over change. I'm learning to this very day that you must yield control in order to gain control. You must be willing to have a teachable spirit. You must answer the why question. For years, I thought losing weight was easy. It really is. The hard part is the daily commitment to the process and learning to become comfortable being uncomfortable with things like relinquishing control, challenging old assumptions, developing that teachable spirit, understanding the power of emotions, learning the difference between hunger and appetite, learning the difference between hunger and need. Losing weight? Easy. Transforming your life? Uncomfortable. And friends, if you're not satisfied this very day with any part of your life, ask yourself this one question. Am I willing to be uncomfortable? No discomfort, no growth. I realized my comfort was rooted in habits, traditions, and patterns counterproductive to good health. And I was reluctant to change those patterns despite the fact they weren't offering the intended results. I learned it's a lot easier to do the familiar rather than risk painful changes that might disrupt routines. That's precisely why disruption is such a critical component to any successful endeavor. Disruptive thinkers add value to any group. They drive organizational change by challenging existing paradigms. They perpetuate forward progress, always ahead of a constantly evolving environment with outside-of-the-box kind of thinking. They possess what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. As previously mentioned, Netflix co-founders Mark Randolph and Reed Hastings credit their multi-billion-dollar success to disrupting their thinking on a daily basis. You see, successful people see things that other people don't. If all you see is what you see, you don't see all there is that needs to be seen. Friends, it's so important to understand that. We left off with the last episode talking about how greatness is fueled by this fierce, unstoppable, relentless determination. I want to remind you there's a significant difference between perseverance and determination. Both are critical, but very different. When you persevere, you're refusing to give up. You keep pushing forward. Your focus, reaching your goal. Whereas determination is the firmness of purpose that drives you toward your goal. It's the resolve and commitment that you have to achieve what you want, no matter the obstacles, no matter the odds. So perseverance, the focus on reaching your goal. Determination, the firmness of purpose that drives you. the resolve and commitment that just drives you every single day to achieving what you want, no matter what, come what may. So determination says, be it resolved in my spirit, I will, I must. There are no other options, no compromising. My purpose is firm, my drive is resolved. My drive actually overwhelms any urge that might be contrary to my success. Again, listen to the words of author Napoleon Hill in his fantastic book, Think and Grow Rich. Successful people possess two qualities, a singleness of purpose and a burning desire to accomplish that purpose. That's what determination is all about. You know, another major lesson that I've learned thus far is this. You can't just possess determination alone. In order to achieve success, that determination must be coupled with strategies. Strategies frame and focus and implement that determination. In other words, strategy fuels determination. And this is the perfect transition for the final episode in this series that I've subtitled Basics. Oh, it's not sexy, but we need to take a page out of Grandma and Grandpa's playbook. For you see, they taught basics to our parents who hopefully passed them on to us. Right now, I want you to think about all those sayings you grew tired of listening to during your childhood. Your parents would just repeat them constantly. I bet you they have a different meaning today. I can hear my father's voice just ringing in my heart with a piercing familiarity as he's beckoning upon me to practice those basics every day. I can hear his voice right now. Son, if you don't have influence, all you are is a suit of clothing. Son, if you're going to do something, do it right. Son, it's never wrong to do the right thing. How you do anything is how you do everything. Son, if you buy something cheap, you buy it twice. Son, never run away from hard work. And the list is endless. The bottom line is this. Friends, you will never, ever, ever experience true greatness. You will never experience success without practicing basics on a daily basis. Former Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Chuck Noll once said, champions are champions, not because they do extraordinary things, but because they do ordinary things better than anybody else. My dad, that third grade dropout, yet the wisest man I ever met in my life, once said, son, if you really want to be great, if you really want to achieve success, practice basics every single day of your life, and you'll grow your capacity for that which you want. Friends, that's exactly what I've been doing these last few years, using basics to grow my capacity for better health. Now, to accomplish this requires a clearly defined goal and an even clearer defined plan of action. You can be the most determined individual in the world, but without focus and strategy, determination is wasted. But when you combine determination with strategy, you literally become relentless, unstoppable. I'll close with a story that I think captures this. Imagine, if you will, a young quarterback fresh out of Michigan. He has a huge chip on his shoulders. That chip fueled a relentless determination in a man called Tom Brady. He was a low NFL draft choice. He wasn't considered very athletic. Many even wondered why the New England Patriots would draft him. But that determination translated to daily strategies to prove all the naysayers wrong. Strategies like doing hard better, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, disrupting his thinking patterns, combining determination with those strategies, and then relentlessly executing those strategies over a prolonged period of time. For Brady, he was never comfortable without being uncomfortable. He was always uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, he thrived being uncomfortable. He understood that comfort brings failure, and he understood that nothing fails like success. So, after starter Drew Bledsoe went down with an injury, a young, untested Tom Brady comes into the game, and later that season would lead the New England Patriots to a Super Bowl. Imagine that. But Brady never allowed himself to be comfortable on the mountaintop. By 2005, just 5 years into the league, Brady, widely regarded as the greatest quarterback of all times, unless you grew up in San Francisco, had by 2005 won 3 Super Bowls. That's remarkable when you consider he was draft choice 199 in the year 2000. Here's a list of quarterbacks that went before Brady. These guys were drafted before Brady. Chad Pennington played a few seasons. Giovanni Carmazzi played a few seasons. Chris Redman played a few seasons. T. Martin played a few seasons. Mark Bolger played a few seasons. And Spurgeon Wynn played a few seasons. Listen to this. All 6 quarterbacks combined to start a total of 191 games. 191 games. They threw a combined 258 touchdowns. 258 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Brady would eventually win 286 games in a career that lasted 23 years. 20 with the Patriots, 3 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He threw for a total of 737 touchdowns. By his retirement in 2023, Brady had won 7 Super Bowls. Here's the main point. The success of winning 3 Super Bowls initially in 5 years would have caused most people to just coast. But Brady had this huge chip on his shoulder. That chip fueled an uncompromising set of basics that he practiced every single day. Basics that affected everything from sleep habits to the food he consumed. Those basic strategies fueled a determination for Tom Brady to prove to the world that he was truly greater than a 199th draft choice. By the way, Brady's attitude about staying hungry, about not allowing success to cause him to coast, about remaining motivated, can be summed up in one answer he gave a reporter. The reporter asked, "Which is your favorite Super Bowl win?" Tom Brady's response, "The next one." Friends, don't sit on the mountaintop very long. Enjoy the view for a moment, then, like Jerry Rice, get back to work. Don't sit on the sidelines of greatness very long. Ask yourself the why question. Why should I grow? Why should I change? And if your reasons are solid, they'll move your will. And you'll soon discover that embracing pain and doing hard better and being uncomfortable and disrupting your thinking and applying strategies to determination are really small prices to pay for true success. The Bible states, "For the moment, all discipline is painful rather than pleasurable, but later it yields peaceful fruits of righteousness to those who are trained by it." So, are you ready to take the first step? Here it is. Today, this very day, this very hour, change your thinking. Remember this one thought. Great people do things that other people don't. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Rick, asking the most important question I can ask. How you living?
Are you ready to make an impact in your world right now? Do you want to stop existing and start living your best life right now? Dr. Rick wants to give you the first chapter of his best-selling book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, absolutely free. Just go to www.rickrigsby.com/free gift to get the print or audiobook right now.
This is the podcastfactory.com.